Hello, my beautiful people. How are you going? Welcome. My name is Michelle and I'm a cash-based budgeter here in Western Australia. And if you saw my title for this video, you would have realized that this is going to be a bit of a chatty video. Yes, so starting off 2023 was very hopeful. I hit my target for 2022 and started on a really high. There's no other way of putting it. However, I've entered 2023 and I have lost my employment. I actually don't have the words for it because I haven't been employed or been in this situation. I think I must have been in my 20s when this happened. I'm in my late 30s. And just when you think you're on a good run and you're doing so well, something like this to happen, there's no other way to put it. It does bring you down. As much as you want to stay positive, mentally you're feeling something has happened. You feel like a bit handicapped, I guess, because you want to do so much and you're being held back a little bit. However, all is not lost, because guess what? Isn't that what we do? Isn't this the point of cash stuffing and budgeting, is so that we account for emergencies, we account for losses of employment, we account for those unexpected events. And that's what has happened. I am so grateful that I started this journey. If this had happened last year in 2022 in January, I would have been in dire straits, because every bank account, every wallet, purse, whatever was empty. I cannot stress to you. I wish I took screenshots of back then and explained to you how I actually even had one of my accounts in a negative figure. That's how bad it was. And then to come out in 2023, this has happened, okay, but I'm okay. I genuinely am okay. So Hubby and I sat down and we looked at what our financial situation was, where can we cut the fat, and we've decided that we will keep our son in daycare. I've explained my situation, and here's the thing, I have no intentions of just sitting home and doing nothing. I am going to actively look for work. The other thing is that I paid for early this year for me to upgrade my certification, which I'm so glad I did, because now that I have this time at home, I am studying. I am devoting all my time to study. So I am still operating as though I am working because I am studying. So that's not going to be a complete waste. So I'm using my budget planner from She Budgets, and I've done the bills that are coming out for this month and some of the bills that are coming out in February. So I've got a good snapshot of what I'm working with. What I have done is that I received my severance check or pay, my last pay. And so it was important for me to make sure that I have allocated enough money to life, because one of the things I learned very early when a similar situation happened to me, I was working in the mining industry and we went into such a bad fall that I got made redundant on the same day as 800 people. Now, I was in a very different situation back then. I was single, I had no mortgage, no bills, no credit cards. I was paying rent, but I was sharing my rent. So I was I had a housemate and things like that, and I was already ahead in my rent, and then I was making decent money back then for someone who was single. So I was okay. So when I got my severance check, I just packed up my bags and I've moved home for a couple of months so that I wasn't spending anything. And then but I blew my money. The severance check that I received, I blew it. I went traveling. in hindsight, I'm not, again, you know, why should I cry over spilled milk? You know, those are, the memories I received or got from traveling was just amazing. And I don't regret traveling. I love the fact. And the thing is, I did that debt free. So I can't complain, right? Nothing went on the credit card. However, this time my situation is different. I've got a mortgage, I've got bills, I've got my son to look after, I've got a hubby. So I, you know, maintaining a home. All that has a big play in how everything works out in the end. So as you would have seen, I did pay $1,700 for my diploma course, so that's already paid for. It's done. The only other big expenses coming up is the surgery for my fur baby. We're keeping that. We thought about postponing it, but you know, our fur baby is done without the surgery for so long that it's not fair to put it on hold anymore. So we're going ahead with it. So my severance check, I am being completely transparent here. There's no point in me sugarcoating it. There's no point in me not telling you the truth, because I want to be as transparent as I can with not giving too much away. Try to keep some privacy. So this is the last paycheck I received from my workplace. Bear in mind, I have been in this workplace for 9 years. I had my pro rata long service leave. I had some annual leave owing to me. So I had about 6 weeks of annual leave or 7 weeks of annual leave owing to me as well. And then my last paycheck, which was my notice period. Now, so that is why it looks quite significant. And I know not everyone will get a severance check like this. I totally appreciate that. I just want to be transparent with you guys. And if I get backlash for this, I hope you guys are kind to me. I know this is a lot of money for most people, and I am totally aware of that. I am just trying to be totally transparent as to how I'm divvying up this severance pay, because this could be my last pay for months on end. You don't know what the situation is like. I know that the job market is good, so I don't envision myself being unemployed for too long. And if I have to go and clean toilets, I'm going to do that if it means putting food on the table. Nothing is beneath me when it comes to working and providing for my family. I am all about, you know, making sure that my family is taken care of. This pay is purely how it's worked out with the severance pay, the long service leave, the annual leave that I'm owed, and the notice period. That is why it is so big. Otherwise, there is no way I make anywhere near that. Like, come on, wouldn't anyone love to earn that kind of money? But in reality, that's just not practical. So I hope you can all see that. Should I try and zoom you in? Maybe I'll try. Okay, that's better, I think. All right, so what I've decided is that first things first, I looked at what my debts were, because it is so easy. And when the last time this happened, when I got severance pay, I saw a lot of my mates, you know, they take this money and they bought a brand new car. Those who were, you know, young and silly. And I also saw a lot of people, oh, look at this chunk of money, let's go put it onto the mortgage. And thinking that they're getting ahead of the mortgage and, you know, paying a big chunk of it. But they didn't put any money towards life. And, you know, you can lose time in recruitment. Sometimes recruitment processes can take a long time, and so you must have money put aside for life. So that is my only advice to anyone who's getting a severance pay, is look at what your life expenses are before you put big chunks of money away into your mortgage or anything like that. It is important that you take into consideration life. So what I did was I looked at it slightly different, because my hubby still has his job. So what I did was I saw how much was owing onto the credit card, because I wanted to get rid of that debt. So I'm not owing any money on it. So if it takes me a month, 2 months, 3 months to find a job, at least I'm not paying that kind of debt. So I put $4,451 onto the credit card. We had $465 left on Zip Pay, so we cleared it. So as far as debt is concerned, besides the mortgage, we only have our car loan, which is $2,600 for the whole year, and then we're done with that loan. So what we did was, hubby and I decided that we won't pay that off. We'll count it in our weekly bills spending, and if we have to pay it off, we will take it out of the savings. I worked out what my mortgage would be for the next 6 weeks, and that's how I came up with that figure. So for the next 6 weeks, I have put money aside for mortgage payments. So I'm not putting any extra onto mortgage because that I need to make sure I have money for life. The water bill came out, I made sure I paid that. The pest control bill invoices come in, I made sure that money is put aside for that. The mumcation, this is an indulgence. The reason why I'm putting it as part of my fixed expenses is because my friend has paid for it already. She's put it onto her credit card, so the house that the group of friends are going to later in the year is already paid for. So I didn't want to be owing any money to a friend. When you have money, never take money from your friends. I know sometimes life situations happen and you may have to borrow money from a friend because you're in that dire straits. By all means, you know, if you have true good friends and you are the type to pay back your friends, then borrow. Otherwise, don't. So that is why I had the money I'm paying off so that I don't owe a friend anything. So then the bills, I put $3,000 in the bills account so that it's covering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks of bills. So this will take me right up till February 11, 12. I made a mistake in those dates there. But it will take me right up till there by having all that bill. So I envision myself to be well and truly employed by then. But if not, then I'll take money out of the savings or the emergency fund and put it into the bills account. But we decided that we are going to make sure that there is more than enough money to cover all these bills. So that is not going to like come up as like, I'm not stressing about that. That's money there. It's set aside for the bills. Variable expenses, because we need to live, we need to eat. So this week I've allocated $280 to variable expenses. So you've got groceries, takeout money, a bit of pocket money for hubby and myself. So you must pay yourself. What I've done is in the sinking funds, I've put in $500 in the online sinking funds account to cover any incidental bills that come up. So if anything comes up like the water bill again or anything that is not part of this and I haven't accounted for it, because it can happen, I just thought just have that $500 buffer sitting there. It just made sense to me. I could have put it straight into the emergency account, but it just, in my head, I imagined that there could be a bill or something that comes up. I've got that $500. I don't know how to represent that money in prop notes or where to represent it, because so I'm just going to call it as buffer money in the bills account, but it's technically sitting in my online sinking fund. All right, so for my sinking funds binder, I've put in about $150, $155 when you add all these. So I've got 5 binders here that will be getting some monies. I were not allocating any monies to any savings challenges, because what's the point? It's about making sure you have more than enough money for everything. And the sinking funds, that's the point. The savings challenges are to fund your sinking funds. So that's why we're just putting it straight into sinking funds, no challenges, keeping it simple. In the offset account where all my savings sits, we're putting in $6,000. Now, the reason why we're putting it in there is that we've allocated money for life, we've allocated money for sinking funds, we've allocated money for variable expenses. So we thought the rest will go into the offset account for our savings. And if we have to take out money to fund the next few weeks, if I am not employed, that's what we're going to do. But for now, we're just keeping it in the offset account. So it is still assisting the mortgage, which is our biggest debt. So it's still assisting it by keeping our interest low, but it's a little more accessible if we need to use it. I had myself $120 left. So what I've done is I put $60 into my investment account, which is my micro investing. It's got an auto invest for $10 per week. So for the next 6 weeks, I'm covered. And the same thing in my Koala Kai's account, savings account. I'm investing $10, putting $10 a week in there. So for the next 6 weeks, it's covered. And that is how I got to my zero based. This looks so good right now. I just did a preliminary one for next week when I only have my hubby's income. This is how it is. What a difference, right? It's got, here I've got monies going everywhere, and this one, nothing. So in this one, what me and hubby are looking at doing is we're thinking, why don't we pretend we only have the one income? We're living on one income only. And we're technically going to be only earning one income for the next couple of weeks, depending on how long recruitment works out for. And so we decided we will take money out for the mortgage. So even though I've allocated money for a mortgage, we're just going to keep adding money in, just to be ahead. So we got mortgage money, the bills buffer. So that's going to take me to the week after here. So it's going to, like, I'm always going to be ahead on my bills. That's how we're looking at. Groceries, we're cutting down to $115. And that's because we're going to be very mindful of what's in the pantry, what's in the freezer, and then supplementing. Most of the money for groceries, because it's just the two of us, hubby and I are really good. We've got so much money, quite a lot of food still in the freezer and pantry. So we're just going to try and finish it all up. Miscellaneous, because you know we're going to have a takeout, but at the same time there's going to be like things that we need, like maybe cleaning supplies or a trip to Bunnings, or you know, something that could come up. So that is not allocated in sinking funds, and so we're putting $50 there. So it literally only leaves $50 to sinking funds. So that's what we're going to do. It's going to put money in our sinking funds in areas that we're just going to put money that we think we need money in. And that's how we're getting a zero base. So this is pretty much the budget for the next 2 weeks. The only thing I want to do right now is I've taken out some Caro Cash money here, some prop notes or play money or something like that. I'm just going to grab my savings binder. So this is the only place that it needs representation. So at the moment, it's sitting at 16,000. By me putting the 6,000 in here, look, for me, this is all money that can be used for emergencies. So as far as I'm concerned, money, all savings is emergency funds. So this one is 22,000. So I just need to change, just so I have some representation. This one goes back. So we've got 10, 20, 21, 22. If I don't use this money, great. It means I've got employment and this is all money going into savings. However, if I have to use this money, I have to use this money. I have to make sure that my son is not without. It sucks. I'm not gonna lie, it sucks. You know, you guys, some of you must be thinking, wow, it must be so good to have all that money in savings. Is it really? Because I know I lost my job to get it. So it's not exactly the best situation to be in, but I am very hopeful of what 2023 can still bring me. And I'm trusting the Lord's plan for me. He might have an amazing job just waiting around the corner for me, you know. So I'm going to keep applying. I'm going to look for that right job. I'm going to finish my certification upgrade so that it just helps in finding that perfect job. So there you have it. You know, when sometimes life will bring you down, it happens. But what defines you is how you get up from that. I have an amazing husband who's been really supportive, and I've had my moments of tears, but at the same time, this is only just going to help me grow. So you know, sometimes it can't all be happy. There are going to be times when it keeps you grounded. This is one of those moments for me. So I'm going to sign off here. I apologize that it's not my usual happy, bubbly type of self. This is reality. Life happens. So I pray that all of y'all are healthy and well, and do look after your friends and family, because you don't know what they might be going through. So do offer a moment of kindness, but don't forget to be kind to yourself. All right, everyone, take care. Bye.